so what happens is before the French Revolution, the French are in America fighting since they have Canada. And so they were sending raiders all the way up to Albany, just massacring all these Bostonians and stuff, all these little British people, okay? Well, eventually, something happens in Europe. If it happens in the old world, it'll spread to the new world. So what happens is, they decide, hey, let's go take some land. So they go all the way down to the Ohio Forks, okay? So they're really close on the 13 colonies, okay, New England, they're really close there. And that's making him nervous. So finally, someone declares war in England to France. So then they're going to be fighting in America for a long time, okay? Now, in brief, wasn't very formal fighting because you're in the wilderness mountains. You can't fight in neat little blocks like that. Just a bunch of raiders and militia and stuff. Occasionally you'll send regulars, and at the end of the 3 wars that made up the big war, and for North America, British took a place called Louisbourg, which was French huge fortress on the cliffs. They wiped it out, and then the fleet landed, and they besieged Quebec. They scaled up these huge 400-foot cliffs straight up, while the French were up there waiting, and so they fight in the Battle of the Plains of Abraham. And the commanding officer of the North American forces, who preceded the Baron d'Escaut, who was massacred by Englishmen, I believe, it's Marquis de Montcalm. So he's on his horse fighting, and it's very close, but he can't withstand a siege because he knows they'll starve, because they can't make enough food, and there's not enough people there. And so they line up on their, on the Plains of Abraham, and they start firing at each other. And so the French get there, they all line up, big volley. Oh, Sam, I'm gonna need your signature. Yeah. So anyways, the French get broken and they get beat back. Now, the commanding officer, James Wolfe, everybody loved this guy. He's with his men and they're starting to snipe at him, and he gets caught in the tendons but puts on a handkerchief and pretends it's not there. So when they go charging, he staggers and falls because he got shot through the lungs. And he's like, now God be praised, I've died conqueror, now I die in peace. And so he dies. Meanwhile, the French are getting smashed back into Quebec, and Marquis de Montcalm's on his horse, and an exploding shell comes in right on him. So he's all bloody and dying on his horse, but he doesn't want anyone to see it. So then they throw him in a crater later, and Canada falls to the British. Now, that was a very expensive war. So you go back to France. France has been waging lots of expensive wars and haven't been necessarily winning. So they're out of money, okay? People are starving. They're in debt. Okay, now what happens is King Louis XVI is married to Mary Antoinette, the daughter of Marie Theresa, and her mother is the Empress of the Holy Roman Empire, in Austria. So they get married, just all this political dispute that went on for centuries. And then, so they get married. King Louis XVI doesn't want to rule, doesn't even want to be king, never dreamed of it. He wanted to be a hunter or a locksmith, a guy with keys. And so when he was there, he would just play with his keys and stuff and hunt, because he has no interest in ruling. Just kind of a dull, not very, like a party, he'd probably be in a corner by himself, reading or something, okay? And so he marries Mary Antoinette, and they're both very young and have no experience. Now, with monarchies, here's how it works. If the king or queen before you does something stupid, it'll mess you up. So in order to become a good king, you have to get out of that mess, which will be very hard to do, depending on what they do. So the French have no money and their people are starving, and yet Mary Antoinette continues to buy thousands of dresses that are expensive and jewels and all that stuff. So she's single-handedly bankrupt in France. Now, meanwhile, the American Revolution is going on. The British are now fighting France.
Are you still going, really?
Well, I'm just getting started.
Oh, okay.
So France decides to help the Americas. So they send like 1,700,000 livres or whatever. That's enough to feed 700,000 French people for 1 year, okay? And they spend it on the Americans. Tons of money, tons of ships, huge armies. They help the Americans get the independence, and they win. They beat the British. So they even it out. Now they have no money. So he hires a financial advisor, Jacques Necker. Very good man. He gets fired later because he's too sympathetic to the masses, too nice to the poor people. So the king, pretty much he works as whatever he was told last is what he's going to do, pretty much, by his advisors, okay? So all the people, they start getting ticked off because they can't feed their own people, and yet the aristocrats aren't being taxed at all, and all the taxes are on the poor people, right? And so what happens is then, he slowly started to get more and more ticked off, because now they can't feed people. Right? Well, then the Bastille was stormed. They finally got sick and tired. Their guy on the inside's taken out. They're disbanded at the National Assembly and formed the 10th Court Oath. Okay? And so then, this huge mob, like thousands, attacks the Bastille. Bastille is only manned by maybe 120 men from the Invalids. So these are guys, veterans, who are missing arms, legs, eyes, okay? Can't really fight. So So this place gets taken by storm, they gun down all the defenders, and they have to cross drawbridges, and they actually get inside this huge fortress, because that's what the Bastille was, and it's a symbol of the monarchy. So then, what happens is, the governor is the Marquis du Lanay, okay? Very nervous guy, okay? Just kind of crazy, too. And so, while he's guarding the Bastille, he sees all these people attacking. So the first thing he does is battle stations. So he's going to try and lock down the place. Because the reason that people attacked is there's huge numbers of soldiers forming outside of Paris. Someone decided to say that they're going to attack Paris, which was not the case. It was a lie, but they all got mad and attacked it. So the musketeers are fighting from the walls, and then the people bring in hay. They get it wet. So when you light wet hay, it makes tons of smoke. So it like gases all the defenders, and they get in. Then they get the Marquis, or no. Then they all wait there and are going to discuss with this guy, and so they send a representative. And so then what happens is, when they're inside eating, they can smell all this like roast beef and rolls and stuff, and they're even more starving, which makes them madder. And then the French had already shot off one of these people who tried to cross the lake to discuss. So when he sends them out, they all attack. Now, he gets scared, and he says, fire the cannon. And he's like, wait, no. And there's like this huge cannon on top of the Bastille. So they fire grape shot, cans of bullets, and kill a bunch of people in the courtyards. They catch they storm in. So they grab this guy, they beat him, stab him, shoot him, stone him, rip out his hair, and drag him through the streets of Paris. He's beat away from safety at the Hotel de Villeneuve, I believe they call it Town Hall. And then he's like, oh, I cannot take it, because he's been shot and stabbed and stuff, so he's about to die. He thinks he's going to die. And so he's like, oh, let me die. He kicks the baker in the groin. The guy goes, oh, and then he gets his butcher knife. They stab him. They all start stabbing and shooting him. They take off his head, put it on a pike, and start marching through the streets. So what's going to happen is the monarch is slowly going to lose power, and the people will win. A man named Robespierre will take power, and he'll then be guillotined as one of his comrades. His name is Jean-Paul Marat. He was stabbed in a bathtub by Charlotte Corday. He was very bloody. He wanted more dead. How do we fix this? More people dead. Off with their heads, okay? So then there's a region called, or time called, the Great Terror. This is where anyone can be executed. So if you call me Monsieur, that's something the royalist, the king did, so you'd be guillotined. If you say, oh, you're about so-and-so poor thing, you could be guillotined. They could get you for anything and everything, and there's thousands of innocent people being killed. So then finally, Robespierre's about to deliver the speech in the National Assembly, their temporary government, and he's on public community safety, which is the head of that. He's going to deliver a speech. One day he says, okay, I'm going to deliver a speech, and with a list of people who are going to be guillotined. So the next day, he stands up to give it, and all of a sudden, like, death to Robespierre, off with his head, and they all start booing him down. So this guy's an expert with speeches. He gets so nervous and scared, he just can't talk. They take him, and soon, people take him away. Hold on. Sierra.
I don't know quite yet why. I can't take that many people. No, it's up there.